We want to know why Conservative senators are voting against this bill. And what about the multi-billion-dollar industry that's already begun to prepare for that legalization? Well, earlier this afternoon, I spoke with Alberta Conservative Senator Betty Unger. Senator, thanks very much for joining us. You are going to vote against this bill, against the government's bill. Why?
Because I believe that it's a very dangerous drug, and most Canadians have not had the opportunity to be educated about the many dangers of this drug.
What do you see as those dangers?
One big issue is that THC is an oil-soluble drug, which means it reacts completely different from anything else we know. It's different from alcohol, and it's different from narcotics. They have different properties. THC, with this property, once it's in your body, it will stay. It has the potential to lodge in fatty areas of your brain, your liver, and it can stay there for weeks and even months.
Now, I know you're a registered nurse, and so you come at this from a bit of a medical background, but this is an issue that has been studied by those who do this as a full-time basis. It's been looked at by Health Canada, looked at by an expert panel, and they have ultimately concluded a pathway to legalization. So why are you standing in the way of that?
I am because we can look at what's happened in the United States, where certain states have approved it, and they are telling us in Canada, do not rush with this legislation. You need to study it, and we haven't given Canadians a chance to even understand the ramifications of this legislation. And of course, you know that young people are particularly susceptible to the bad effects of this drug.
So it's not a question for you of there needs to be something more in this legislation. It sounds to me as if you are opposed to the legalization of recreational marijuana, full stop.
Yes, I am.
There are those who would argue that this plan, this legislation, takes what is an illegal market, makes it legal, gets it out of the hands of criminals, makes it possible for the government to regulate it, and those are the good things that we reap because ultimately this is going to be used anyway. What do you say to people who say that?
The government has been asked repeatedly, how will you do this? Show us your plan. Tell us what you're going to do. But they can't. They don't have a plan, I believe. They are reacting to everything. The chiefs of police have said, we're not ready. It needs to be studied more right across Canada.
But you're not saying study more. You're saying we just shouldn't be doing this.
In a perfect world, we should never do this. It's wrong, and it will negatively impact generations of young people.
How do you deal then with the black market, which exists now and will continue to exist in an illegal stream if there is no legal stream?
I don't believe legalization will affect the black market in any way, and the government has not made a case to show that how they think it would, how they would take over the black market.
There's a lot of business people who are banking on the legal market, who are spending money, investing in capital to try to take advantage, to exploit the business opportunities in this. They're spending that money now. What do you say to them?
I say to them, it's their money, it's their decision. They are looking to exploit children and the susceptibility of young people and adults because they see an opportunity to make money. Really? On the backs of our children?
There is, when you speak about children, though, there's an age limit within the legalization framework that says if you're under 18, this isn't for you.
And what the neurologists, what the medical professionals will tell you, that the age is 25. The brain does not stop maturing until the age of 25. So potentially, these 18-year-olds, if they start using, their brains, which are still forming, will be affected. It can result in school dropouts, a lack of initiative, bright young people who had a great future ahead of them. They start using this, they lose all initiative, they sink to a level of mediocrity, and they never get better.
This legislation, this plan has moved through the bureaucracy, moved through study, moved through the House of Commons. It's now at one of its last hurdles, the Senate, and you're proposing to stop it in a House that is unelected. Many people believe an unelected House should not be doing that.
Well, I believe it should be stopped because it's wrong. And if the House needs to go back in time, after they've consulted with Canadians and after the chiefs and all the other people say, okay, we're ready, then they can reintroduce it. They can bring it back. That would be a good decision.
They'd have to bring it back in a different form at this stage. They couldn't just reintroduce exactly the same thing.
That's right. So that would be great. If this bill is stopped, if it's killed, I'm happy. I have been losing sleep over this because it is so dangerous and people don't realize that. They don't understand the ramifications of what this drug actually does.
All right. Senator Unger, thanks very much.
You're very welcome.